In a sense, yeah, you can say, oh, you're doing like, it's like whank-ery, you're doing for yourself.
Yeah, whank-ery.
It is whank-ery.
What whank-ery is this?
I am doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my
Okay,
happiness.
new word, guys. Whank-ery.
Whank-ery. Whank-ery is right after revelry.
Welcome to another episode of Revelry Podcast, and today with our special guest, EKO.
What's up, guys?
Asia.wave, your own company. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Asia.wave isn't a company yet. It will be a company soon, but the whole point of Asia.wave is to connect Asians together, because if you look at like okay, I'm gonna get really technical. The whole Asian market is 14 different markets.
Why so specific? 14 different markets.
Because you have 14 different countries that really like kind of push it. Okay, but if you want to simplify it, you have 7 major regions. Okay, you have China, you have Southeast Asia, which is Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. You have Korea, Japan, and then you have the landlocked Southeast Asia, which is Thai and Cambodia, Laos, that region. Then you have Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, and also then technically some parts of Middle East and Russia also can consider Asia.
That is
so
true.
you got all these kind of like different little parts. So what Asia.wave is supposed to do is kind of like create more connections between all these various communities and regions to kind of encourage more collaboration.
Off the bat, right, I would like to step into something a little bit more serious, because the whole entire reason, right, why things like 88 Rising is being created or Asia.wave is created, right, is because of the misrepresentation or the lack of representation of Asia in the worldwide market. So like, for example, to put it very crudely, right, the world market right now is just white people support white people. To oversimplify it. So that's why Asians are creating this thing to support Asians, but aren't we ourselves becoming like them, where we are only supporting Asians?
Well, I mean, if you want to put it that way, you're not wrong.
Yes.
But you also have to understand that it's from a place of the fact that we are not in the majority in the industry. Yes,
correct.
yes, like
Correct.
population-wise,
Correct.
we may have more more people and more audience than the West. But when you look at it, like in our representation in global media, our representation is very low.
Yes, correct.
But that is changing a lot. I think one of the things that can I bring up the recording you guys just did?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that you guys mentioned just now when you all were interviewing Mass was that various countries, the number one songs are actually now in their own, from their own local market, right? It's domestic, right?
Yes.
Number one tracks in all the domestic markets. And we see that. And I tell you, one of the best ways to see that is I want to be as platform agnostic as possible, but YouTube is the best way to see it. If you look at the top 10 music tracks, I promise you, the top 5, right, is from a local domestic market that's not English speaking.
On YouTube, top 5
On
tracks.
YouTube. Yeah, because why I mention YouTube? Because Spotify is not everywhere,
Yes.
but YouTube is.
Yes.
With the exception of China.
Yes.
So you don't say China, but everywhere else, the top 5, right, is gonna be
Bad
Korean,
Bunny.
Latin American, which is Spanish.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Vietnamese. It's gonna be Filipino.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something like that. And then maybe up there you see like 3 or maximum
Katy Perry.
half lah. I will say, like, I don't really know what the exact number is, but like at least maximum half will be English speaking.
Yes.
Which kind of like throws a wrench in like our original perception about what music means in the global sense of things. Because for us, especially now, even this podcast is in English. So we are in something called the Anglosphere. So the Anglosphere is heavily dominated by either depending on who colonized you, the American market or the British market.
Yes.
So
Can I get a cup of tea?
so yeah, so what you
Sorry,
were-
what time is it now? Like 1, 2? 11, 12. Shit, too early. I'll drink it later.
okay,
The timing one.
generally, right, like if you think about it, right, what we think is the top track because we speak English,
Yes.
would generally fall into the English category. So, but if you ask a person in like Moscow and this person doesn't speak English. You ask him what's the most famous song that he knows. He'll tell you it's a Russian track. You ask someone in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh. More often than not, while they may know global music and they may know global music track, but you ask them what's the hottest song right now, they'll tell you something from their local market.
Yeah, which is very similarly to a point that I brought up to him, right? Like Jackie Chan recently, right, is like the first Asian to get an Academy Award, correct? First Asian, Jackie Chan, like maybe like 3-4 years ago, something like that, he got it, and then like Sylvester Stallone is like videoing him. So I think he's a very good example of real famous. Like people from around the world, regardless of race, language, or religion, right, will understand the kind of comedy that he's trying to portray. But versus people that win a lot of Academy Awards, right, they are only popular in their own zone. You see?
Okay, going back to that point, right? Who do you really think is the first global superstar?
Global superstar.
Yeah, the one superstar, the first one that in every market.
Marilyn Monroe.
No,
Michael Jackson.
wrong.
No lah, must older than that, what? Older than
No,
that.
not even that.
Jesus.
Picasso.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, the first true global superstar
Uh-huh.
is Bruce Lee.
Yes.
You know why?
Okay.
Because Bruce Lee was who everyone wanted to be.
Yes.
And if you go right now all the way to like in the Middle East, there was this whole Vice documentary of I think if I'm not wrong, I think he's Iranian.
Yes.
And he just models himself after Bruce Lee. Because he looks like it. And like everything, and Bruce Lee brings a lot. If you go around the world right now and ask people martial arts, Hollywood, fighting, the first person they'll think of is Bruce Lee before they Jackie Chan. And Bruce Lee set that tone before Jackie Chan did.
Oh, yeah. I
And
was
even Jackie
thinking
Chan
about people that are
admits
still alive.
No,
I was
but
thinking
Jackie
about
Chan
people still
admits
alive.
it that it's because of that star power that Bruce Lee had
Yes.
that he was able to have his career.
Yeah. We stand on the backs or stand on the shoulders of giants before us.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct. That's true. And then breaking barriers. How do you propose that we could possibly do that?
Collaboration. Like a lot of it is like a lot of the ways to kind of like get out of your community. Okay, so I just had this very interesting conversation this afternoon with a few of the older people in the industry where we were reminiscing the days of Bandcamp. Where you remember the days where you could like, you know,
I think Bandcamp still exists, right?
and Bandcamp still exists.
I still buy samples. $55 Chrysalis samples.
Exactly, but like Bandcamp as what we used to do it as
Yeah.
is so different from Bandcamp today.
Bandcamp must sound like Facebook lah.
Yeah, and Bandcamp back then, you could be an indie band, put out a track, an album you recorded over the weekend, 3 pieces, and you ask people to pay what you want, and somehow, somewhere, someone will pay $5 for your album.
Yeah, and then you can make a living out of it.
Yeah, and if you're good enough, eventually you become a full-time musician, right? But that's not what Bandcamp or SoundCloud or Spotify is today. Because today, everyone, music is so accessible. The creation of music is so accessible, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Which means the standard on what we demand from music is also higher.
Yes, correct.
But by having the music so democratized, it's been harder and harder for younger or budding artists, not just necessarily younger artists. Budding artists can be anyone. It can be you who's like 40 years old and starting his new Ableton journey, or like you who is like 55 and learning how to play guitar and you want to record yourself on YouTube.
Or 33 and trying to save up for Ableton.
Keep saving, bro.
I'm gonna start my OnlyFans soon, bro, just to get Ableton.
people like ball guys these days. Okay, so any budding artist, right, it is so hard to break through the noise. So what is the key to break through the noise? I think that's the question that you're asking, right?
Yes.
Community. But what does community mean? It doesn't mean people rally around you. You don't have to be the leader of the community for a community to rally around you. It means making friends, collaborating, meeting your peers.
Yes.
And it's like, I guess if anything, right, the internet has truly democratized and turned success into a meritocracy. Because while you still have industry plants and you still have industry supported people to kind of put themselves forward, right? But social media streams and like revenue through all these kind of things, right, will definitely tell you whether or not this person is the real shit or not.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, paid
People vote
promotion.
with their wallets, one.
Yeah, paid promotion versus like organic. Yeah. That's a very, very good telltale sign for whether you are an industry plant or not. Yeah.
I mean,
Comment below who's your favorite industry plant.
Ooh, my favorite industry plant. I actually
you want
don't know.
to talk
I actually
about it?
don't know. I actually don't know. I actually don't really know if any of the artists I know I like is industry plants. But I guess Lil Pump was an industry plant, right? So I like Lil Pump.
What's an industry?
Oh, what's an industry plant?
Yeah.
Okay, Gabe from behind the cameras is asking me right now what an industry plant is. So for all you guys watching this revelry live stream right now, what an industry plant is basically an artist or a singer-songwriter or whatever who has been selected and chosen by industry professionals, usually from A&R from record label, and promoted, supported, and funded by the record labels to look organic. I think Lil Xan was one as well. A lot of the Lils are all industry plants. A lot of people, especially in hip hop, are industry plants. And like you'll be like, oh, it's their first track, and somehow they're without any like SoundCloud. There's no like background, or they were like a totally different identity. And then suddenly, right, they get like $500,000 to do a promo tour, a music video, and Kanye is like featuring on their newest track.
Is Marshmallow an industry plant?
No,
No, Marshmallow is not.
Marshmallow is not an industry plant.
100% organic.
I can talk a lot about Marshmallow,
Yeah.
but the cameras have to be off. Yeah, because I mean, if you guys are truly interested in the journey of Marshmallow, you can always go and like discover. But I can tell you right now, Marshmallow is not an industry plant.
Nice.
Yeah. So, speaking of these industry plants, but then I think they also have their own difficulties, right? Because they are locked into like some form of impossible contract. Because you are given $500,000, so of course you need to earn back $500,000 and more in terms of revenue.
Absolutely, which is why we now need to learn this new word. The word of the day is recoupables. So what are recoupables?
Must recoupable.
Recoupable!
All together.
Right. Recoupables are basically whatever a label will spend on you that you have to make back. So how it normally works is, let's say the average industry rate is about 30-70. So the artist takes 30.
Oh, so good. I thought it's 80-20.
That is also a rate, but
Yes.
30-70 is the better one. 80-20 is also very common.
Yeah.
And then in that 20%, right, you will pay up to half of your 20% paying back the label before you can truly make your 20%. Yeah, and then usually these are very dangerous deals lah.
Yes.
And I mean, it's all over YouTube. You can just go and Google 360 deal. YouTube
360 deal.
artist 360 deal, and you
Lil
go
Xan
and
frustrated
see,
kicking car. You can also Google that.
you go and see, you see a million artists, and maybe even artists you know and you like that had a one-hit wonder, and suddenly they never release music ever again.
Yes.
Because of a 360 deal.
Yeah.
And it's all online. Just go and Google it, YouTube, you know.
Yeah. But it's still so prevalent, you know, because people want shortcut. People wants to be overnight success.
I wouldn't think it's people want shortcuts and overnight success. A lot of these people who sign 360 deals, or at least from what I see online, you know, and like watching and learning about 360 deals, they sign these deals at 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah,
They sign these deals barely old enough to understand what legal means.
So do you see that do you think that, you know, like all these record labels actually take advantage of that situation, that they don't know all this you know, they're still too young to know this, but
I cannot claim to say that record labels are taking advantage of young artists. But there is a trend of young artists signing contracts that they
don't understand.
might not understand. I won't say they don't understand.
Yeah.
I cannot claim that they don't understand. But
This become
I
a
must
legal
say-
podcast.
I must
Allegedly.
say
Allegedly.
that they might not understand
Allegedly.
at their stage of their career.
Yes.
Wow.
Legal
This
podcast.
podcast very scary. Very scary.
Bro, ask me what can say, what cannot say. I let you know.
It's not very allegedly really. No,
Allegedly.
But, okay, no. But,
Edward was
this,
here.
But this is quite clear. It is a very well-known thing. One thing I can say is that at least in the local context, we don't have 360 deals that lock people in. At least I'm not aware of it. And that a lot of our artists are actually given very at least locally given relatively favorable deals versus 360 deals lah.
But I mean, like, you can have successful example of 360 deals as well, which is like Drake. You know,
Yes.
do you even see the article where they say that what happens if Drake starts going indie? The whole entire record label scene will just dismantle itself. Because Drake is too successful already. They wouldn't let him go. Yeah.
Yeah, 360 deals is not wrong. There's nothing bad about a 360 deal, but it's one thing when you sign a contract not knowing what you're doing,
Yes.
versus signing a contract being very aware that you're going into this with this kind of liability.
Yes.
Isn't a 360 deal like the same thing as, you know, like whenever an author do a book deal with you know, like a publisher, they do the same thing. The publisher will like
360 deal, right, means your life is theirs. Your image, your merch, your
They own
clothing, your
everything.
voice,
So
your
usually-
promotion.
like a K-pop
What you're
group.
talking about is an advance.
Oh.
So an artist advance is
Yeah.
very different from a 360 deal. You can have an artist advance without a 360 deal.
Yes.
Oh.
Correct.
So but again, most of all these things are recoupables.
Yes.
So you know, it's very, you need to know, like, whenever you sign any kind of like artist contract, or when you're signing a release to any label, or any even a talent agency, like, you need to know what you're signing. You need my advice to any young artist or any budding artist is that have a friend or have a family friend who is a lawyer go through any contract and be very clear about what you are signing yourself up for. You know, there is no contract that is evil. And there are no people, like, I can't say that there are no evil people in the industry, but when you sign a contract, the contract is an agreement. So if you have agreed to terms, it's very hard to break it.
Yes.
So you need to know what you're agreeing to. And any age. Like, even not just even like contracts about like signing to a label, even your employment contracts when you go join a job.
Yeah, marriage contract also.
That one I don't know lah. I guess marriage contracts are quite straightforward. You know, you want to be with that person, but yeah, when it comes to like especially like employment contracts and like artist contracts, you really gotta know like exactly what you're signing up for lah.
So it all boils down to the longevity of the artist based on the kind of contract that you sign. And then if you cannot sustain, then it's not really a well thought out career lah. Which is why like it's very impressive when you look at people with long careers. You know, they definitely do something right, regardless of whatever kind of criticism you like to throw at them lah. Versus one-hit wonders, right? Not one-hit wonders might be doing the right thing at the right moment, but then what's next? You know, we always ask ourselves as artists, what's next? Yeah. Do you find that kind of pressure? Like asking yourself what's next, because you're not primarily an artist, even though you are DJing and you're starting to produce, but you are primarily, I would say, a business person. I wouldn't even call you an A&R person. You're everything, but
Okay.
back end, you know.
I am an entrepreneur. I am a back end music person.
Yes.
I am a person that I enjoy the back end work in the industry. I enjoy building infrastructure, and I enjoy doing my best to help the people who are a lot more talented than me. So one thing I've learned in my 14 years in music is that I'm not very talented, and I work very hard. And I can, through my hard work, I can be better than some talented people.
Yes.
But then when you meet really talented people, that's when you
Whoa.
sit there and then they tell you,
I was telling you that yesterday.
and they tell you, hey bro, you're not bad, bro. Your DJ good, you know. Ah, bro, you know how to produce this, you know how to do that. But then you look at them and you're like, bro, you real or not? You real or not? You are the one that's talented, and we meet real talented people. Like, I can tell you right now, some very talented people. LENERD is a very talented person.
I don't claim to be.
He cannot claim to be.
My mom always
myself.
say that I'm very stupid.
I will claim for him that he is very talented as a DJ. I think producer-wise, Men is a very talented producer.
Oh, natural.
Stella is a very talented producer. Pie Track, Adventure Time, and I'm gonna throw another name out here that is not necessarily an artist. He has released as an artist before. Jason Gelchen is an excellent producer.
Dude, Jason Gelson is mad, dude. Jason Gelson is crazy.
Shout out to Homeground Studios, man.
Yeah. You don't see him, but he's like in your every song, dude.
That guy is behind most of the hits in Singapore.
Yes.
And then you meet excellent talented DJs. My favorite DJs, they're not necessarily, there's no official ranking on who's the best DJ in Singapore, because the best DJ is subjective to your taste.
Yes.
But my favorite DJs who are excellent are LENERD, Fader, Pinchen, DJ Mess, and of course right now Rattle also. You know, I like all their styles, and of course I'm not saying that other DJs that I've not mentioned are not good, but those are my 5 favorite lah. And those are the people who, when I ask a DJ, even when people tell me that they really like my DJing, I sit there and then I watch the DJ. I'm like, yo, bro, it's like watching God show up on the decks and be like,
It's like watching,
oh, it's gospel.
like watching Mass go to Sri Lanka. It's Mass, you inspired me to stay alive.
No. Okay, so funny thing, my first trip to Sri Lanka was in 2017.
Yes.
2017. Yes, 2017. My first trip to Sri Lanka, I went there to learn about pro audio. I met a guy on a flight, and he asked me, "Oh, what do you do? Why are you going to Sri Lanka?" I was like, "Oh, I going there to learn about audio." "What do you do in Singapore?" "I'm a DJ." "Oh, where do you learn DJ from?" "I learned from this DJ called Mass Ramli. He's from Sri Lanka. Have you heard of him before?" And the guy was like, "DJ Ramli? Oh, I love DJ Ramli. Do you know that they still play his mixes on Sun FM in Sri Lanka?
What the hell?
It's been over 10 years. They still play his music and he's the best." That's how you know that guy.
The
is like,
level of reverence,
yeah,
madness,
you know.
freaking madness.
No, but it's also like, you know, like yeah, so like when you meet all these people, so the reason why I went to the background is because I realized that my strengths are in administration, in logistics, in just basically putting things together. And while I do enjoy being on stage and like, you know, roaring the crowd and doing all that kind of stuff and making my own music, I have come to terms that that's not the path for me. Even if I do pursue it as a passion, like, you know, I'm satisfied where I am.
Dude, you're the guy that's like, if you want something to happen, right? He's the guy to approach. Yeah. In events wise, whatever, right? You want something happen, right? He's the guy. Yeah, basically.
So you asked me what's next, right? Like, do I really fuss about what's next when it comes to like my DJing or even like my artistry as a musician? No, I don't fuss about it anymore because for me right now, I always take this I've always taken this approach. If you pursue art as commerce, then you need to think about what's next.
Yes.
Because that's what's paying the bills, right? So like for me, my skill and my craft is in the background. So I do need to think about what's next when it comes to like maybe supporting an event or like marketing an artist and stuff like that. But I don't really actually need to think about what's next when it comes to what I want to play or what I want to make because I'm now doing it for my pleasure. You know? In a sense, yeah, you can say, oh, you're doing like, it's like whank-ery, you know, you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah. Whank-ery.
It is whank-ery.
What whank-ery is this?
I am doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my
Okay,
happiness.
new word, guys. Whank-ery.
Whank-ery. Whank-ery is right after revelry.
You go to revelry and have whank-ery. Right?
Yeah, but you know, there's nothing wrong with doing that. You know, there's nothing wrong with pursuing the art that you really, really want.
Yes.
If it is truly for your own pleasure. But you like, my stance is this: if I do what I want and nobody likes it, I need to be satisfied with the fact that nobody likes it.
Yeah, a lot of people
Because it's
cannot
for
come
me,
to terms with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, right? If it's for
correct.
me, then I cannot complain if people don't like it.
Yeah, for commerce, yeah, definitely you have to do what the crowd wants. You know, at the end of the day, yeah. It's like I know of a music manager that spoke to me about his favorite artist. He's like a hip hop underground music manager, and he said my favorite artist is Chainsmoker. I'm like, what, dude? You know, he's like the most underground. And then he's like, okay, because Chainsmokers do the 70-30. They give people 70%, and then 30% they do some hard trap. They do some stuff that they want just for themselves, and that's how they keep their identity, keep themselves fresh. You know, stay ahead of the game because nobody can be a better version of you. And then when it works, everybody want to copy you, and then you'll be ahead. You know, you're not even trying to predict the future. You're just being yourself.
Yeah, just like, I guess when you talk about like 70-30, you gotta know like if your purpose is to make money, then your music should be to make money.
Yes.
If your purpose is to express yourself, then your music should be to express yourself. And you can try to do both, but no one can guarantee you anything.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. It's similar to Kendrick and Frank Ocean. They drop music whenever they want it. You know, 5 years later, drop one album, boom. Or 20 years later, come out and do one live performance, play 3 songs and leave.
It just happens that they're peacemakers. I think, you know, talking about come out 20 years later and play 3 songs, you know who's the best example of that?
What?
Dr. Dre.
Oh yeah.
Still working on
Play
the
3
Chronic.
notes, bro. You know, play 3 songs, play 3 notes, bro.
Still working on the Chronic Part 2, bro. 20 years in the making, bro.
Yeah, hey, yo, Chronic's gonna be out, bro, 20 years later. Yeah. Shit. From chronic become chronic pain already.
Well, last time, right, when he started the chronic, right, weed still illegal in the States, right?
Yeah.
Then that's why it's such a rebel anthem, right?
Yeah.
Now weed illegal already.
Now we legal cannot do chronic already.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Dr. Dre is such a legend.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking about like Dr. Dre is such a legend, and then he's creating hip hop that is like organically him. Do you see a lot of like Singaporean hip hop acts that's like trying to emulate what's happening in the East Coast or the West Coast, and similarly to like EDM producers in Singapore trying to replicate what's happening in Berlin. Do you find that it's like kind of like a watered down version, and it might not work as well because we are not in that that particular situation in life, like our brother didn't get shot to death, and that kind of scenario. So it doesn't come across as sincere when you put it out as a song.
Because it's literally a culture that came out of hardship, which Singapore actually like
only
hardship
hardship you
and
have-
violence actually.
The only hardship you have is MRT too many people in Singapore.
That's kind of true. And occasionally you got ponding.
But what?
Ponding, you know?
Pawning?
Ponding.
Ponding.
Orchard Road got pond. You know?
Pond.
It's flooding lah, but they call it ponding.
Ponding.
Bonding.
What?
Oh, bondage ah.
Bonding. I like bonding. Oh, bonding. Bonding bad, man. Bonding.
Someone they say Orchard Road got pond. What?
No, you all don't know where the official government term every time we have floods in Orchard Road is called ponding.
Ponding.
Like a pond. P-O-N-D.
They should release some prawns there. You see everybody prawning
Prawning.
in Orchard Road.
Okay, so
hell, man?
going down to this, when we talk about, do I feel like Singaporean art, like Singaporean versions of such iconic art are imitations, or at least I guess you can't say what you were saying is not that they're imitations, but rather that they're weaker imitations.
Yeah.
It's okay to be imitated. My answer is no.
They're not weaker imitations.
They're not weaker imitations. It's okay to imitate. It's okay to try. I guess at the end of the day, right, we always try to copy what we think is best. But ultimately, we only do the copying when it kind of speaks our story. Like I
We only
think
do the copying when it speaks our story.
okay, so like just now we're talking about Lil Pump, right? My favorite Lil Pump song is Gucci Gang.
But do you know that he got sued by Gucci?
That's fine.
But the attention, maybe more attention.
Technically, Gucci cannot sue him if you don't know lah. If you don't know, Gucci cannot sue him because First Amendment rights. But so do you know how Gucci Gang is connected to one of the top hip hop acts in Singapore?
How?
How? Who's the number one hip hop artist in Singapore right now?
Young Raja.
Young Raja, yeah.
Okay, Young Raja. What was his claim to fame?
Matt Blessing, before Matt Blessing was Mustafa.
Before Mustafa?
Yeah, Gucci Gang Freestyle.
Puri Gang.
Puri Gang, yeah.
So when he put out Puri Gang, which was okay, so I'm gonna put some context here, right? Young Raja is an excellent Tamil English rapper.
Yes.
He's not the first one. The first one who really did Tamil English rap from Singapore is Lady Cash. So shout out to Lady Cash and shout out to Young Raja. We've had this conversation. He knows that I always very supportive of like the hip hop scene in Singapore and especially the history of it.
Yes.
So okay, now going back to Puri Gang.
Yes.
When he put up Puri Gang, right, and you listen to Puri Gang, can you call it a weak imitation of Gucci Gang?
It is not imitation in a sense because I felt that it was transformation.
It's transformation.
It's not imitation, you see. So I was talking about imitation. See, there's a very, very fine line. Yeah. Transformation. And the words are about things that's pertaining to his own life.
Correct.
You don't talk about like, shoot this person, shoot that person like how it is in the US, So it's not an imitation.
So he spoke
So
his
it's not
story,
actually a same thing.
You see,
you see?
when he did it right, you saw it as evolution.
Yeah.
You saw it as a transformation. You saw it as him speaking his story through a cipher or a sound that was similar to something that was popular at the time.
Correct.
So I can say this right now. Singaporean art is not a weak imitation of Western or whatever kind of art. It's just that when we do it, if it doesn't speak our truth, does not speak our story, and it is just a lower quality creation.
Yeah.
It is because it is a low quality creation, not because we imitate others, but it's because we are just not there ourselves yet.
Correct. So do transformative work, then you won't gonna copyright strike. Yes.
I mean, what was that? Bruno Mars song copy Marvin Gaye or something.
Yeah, or Shape of You copy something.
Yeah, so it's very
Yeah.
very shaky about
Very
it. But the
grey.
important thing is that you do not look at your creations that has been inspired by others as weak imitations. Look at it as they have inspired you to kind of grow your identity as an artist, and look at it as how they have kind of helped you find your voice in speaking your story.
I think a lot of artists have already spoken about this topic, especially for like Rick Rubin or Picasso himself, right? They are just talking about when you admire someone's work, you can't help but copy. But then I only copy, right, as practice at home. And then I'll copy this person, I'll copy this person, and end up, right, I have like hundreds of inspiration and it melds into my personality and that becomes my original art. You know, we are all influencers of each other. We learn from each other, you know, like what Mass said. Yeah, so I believe that's how you can truly stand out. Yeah, truly stand out. Yeah, and not being called a watered down version. Yeah.
I think we give ourselves too much. We're too hard on ourselves whenever we say that we are watered down versions of the West. We are not. We are 100% not. Like, can you tell me an artist right now, like name it out right now on the record, that they are a watered down version of a Western act? Name me one.
Why the hell would I do that, yeah? Crazy.
Dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, none of them are watered down versions of a Western act. They may have
In a PC way.
No. I'm gonna be non-PC or what? They may have been inspired. They may have copied a lot of what they want to do from a Western act. But at the end of the day, they are still trying to express their own version of it. I think.
But what is their version though? Is it their cultural version, or is it their sonic
Well, I
taste?
cannot say because I'm not that artist. I think. Yeah, actually, I can't even really think of a
Okay.
local act that is a like it feels like a Western copy. I think I'll speak on one of my friends' band. Okay. This friend of mine, his name is Aiden. He has a band called Stopgap. So they are inspired by a lot of indie acts back then. So their first few albums and their first few tracks were you can hear the Arctic Monkeys in them.
Yep.
You hear the Strokes in them.
Yep.
But as they grew and they evolved, they found their own sound that became a mash of that and then everything else that they also like.
Yeah, lor. So
But
I guess it's evolution, or
it is evolution, but but is it wrong that they sounded like the Strokes or the Arctic Monkeys?
it's not wrong, but then it's also not wrong for people to call them a watered down version. Right?
But can you truly say they are watered down version?
Yeah.
When
I
they
guess they're just
when they're
starting out
using the just first I use the same style of storytelling doesn't mean watered down version.
Yeah, but I must tell my own story, ma.
Yeah, they told their own story.
Yeah, lor. That's the thing. We cannot just like blindly follow the style, copy paste, and then that's not even transformative. Then that's not even your style. One very good example is Wukong. You know, he tell his story in the way of his heritage.
Yeah.
But then the sound is very Eurodance, if you think about it. You know, and it's also trap music that is very inspired from RL grime. Just look at the 着火了. What the hell is the song called? Man, I forget already. I need to search.
Phoenix Ray.
No. My favorite Wukong song is this trap song. Shit, do you have phone? Anybody have phone? Like anybody can like fast game Google.
Come.
Yeah, like Wukong.
悟空着火了 right?
Yeah, just no. Spotify. Just, Yeah.
Okay. Let me just go to Spotify.
Yep. Shit, what's that song? Anybody got it? Nobody got phone.
He's just checking on it.
Like something garden, peach garden or whatever.
Immortal Peach Garden.
Is it Immortal Peach Garden?
Yeah, Immortal Peach Garden.
Yes, that is a very good song, right? That has the whole entire RL grime riff, right? But then he did it in the Asian style, you know. That's transformative art, and then that's not watered down. Yeah.
I think an earlier example of that would be Shadowless. Shadowless?
Shadowless by Inquisitive?
No, yeah, and Wukong.
No, Shadowless is Inquisitive only. Wukong is he did the Legend of Wang Fei Hong. It's actually two interpretation of the same song. If you
Okay, so
realize.
Shadowless and Legend of Wang Fei.
Yes.
Because they both sample the original Jiangjun which is the general's order, which is the original track,
The Wang Fei Hong theme song, basically. Yeah.
and they just they retell it in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, lor. So that I feel that is like transformative art. That's definitely what we're trying to strive for. Yeah, and never stop the copy paste. If you know who I am.
But if it's copy paste, do you feel like it's a bit more? I feel like there's a bit of cultural inappropriation as well there.
How is
copy
that
paste.
cultural appropriation if it's your own culture?
I mean, if you copy paste and you add N word inside,
Yeah.
then cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
lah.
Well,
Right or not?
Okay, okay. So talking about that, I
Right.
cannot stand when Asian people use that word. It's not our word to use.
Yeah.
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 But I can understand it. But a lot of what is very popular in Asia has been honestly a reimagination of black music.
Yes, black music is so influential in all.
Black music is very music and black driven African American driven music and African American driven culture is very influential to how we have kind of like grown our more modern sounds in Asia as well.
Yeah, and because they embrace their own culture so well, right? That we are like, wow, damn, they are so cool, you know.
Yeah.
We want to be like them.
So the question is why we cannot embrace
Hey,
Manya?
that's why we should follow Ronnie Cheng, you know. Hey yo, what's up, my chinks? Yo, what up?
Well, I have my reservations about using that word, but I can understand where you're coming from. Which brings me to the next point. Why can we not embrace Manyao? Why is it that... Okay, so do you know what's the number one streaming genre in Indonesia right now?
I have no idea. Bahasa Dangdut.
Good.
Yeah.
Dangdut. Oh, it is their version of Manyao, bro.
Yeah, but I guess probably the birth of Manyao and where it came from, right? It really came from a place where it's not about the music, which is actually very similar to a lot of the music. Like house music, like techno music, it came from like gay bars, right? When gay bar wasn't like really, it was really like a taboo, and then they listened to that kind of music, or like
It was outsider music.
yeah, it really is outsider music, lah. Yeah. So that could possibly be it, and then like similarly to a lot of Asian cultures, right? We are ashamed of our own culture. Yeah, Asian people are like inherently ashamed of their own culture. That's what I feel. Or we are just humble, or we are humble.
Is it like colonial mentality?
Yeah, I mean, like in the previous podcast we were saying that I traveled to Japan and then on the DJ mixer say no playing Japanese song. Same, to whatever clubs that you go.
No, I mean it's like how when we were in the Philippines, like we were told when
No playing OPM.
You cannot play OPM.
Yeah.
You cannot play Filipino tracks.
Yeah.
Or like yeah. So I get it, but right now is the time where we should be embracing our own culture, like and really like re-exploring why is it that we feel certain ways or certain kinds of music. I like this term called decolonization. I think it is time for Asians to kind of like decolonize ourselves about like how we look at music.
Instead of looking at other cultures, embrace your own, basically.
Yeah, and we can. I mean, we can still learn and we can still like copy.
Yep.
And like evolve what we feel about it. I think like one of my favorite tracks from the COVID era, High Food Horn, Vina House track, comes from a hip hop track from Vietnam. And it blew up because of social media, and it became such a big track that now people around the world know that there is a genre called Vina House.
And speaking of like decolonization, right? Like let's just say that everybody like really embraces their roots, right? Like French people, they are like very proud of speaking French. And Japanese people are very, but then when we all come together and do a podcast or do something together, there has to be a universal language, right? And it really has no choice but to be English.
Yeah.
Or maybe one day you'll change to Mandarin. Who knows?
有可能.
Yeah, starting from tomorrow, our podcast will be in Mandarin.
I need
I can't even speak
subtitles.
Mandarin, yeah.
Every time they talk, I need subtitles on my end.
Subtitles will be across my chest.
Yeah.
So no, but okay. So yes, you need administrative language.
Yes.
And I guess English is one of the easiest languages to pick up when it comes to administration.
Yep.
However, having English as an administrative language should not deny you the ability to enjoy and embrace your culture. We are all bilingual here in this room, Some of us trilingual, but not me. So even for myself, like it took me many years to not feel that Chinese media is cringy. And I've learned slowly to like
Yes.
embrace like the Chinese way of like looking at certain content, the Chinese
Yes.
way of doing certain posts or Chinese music and stuff. And like, you know, it took a long time. Like I had to actually sit down and ask myself, is it because the Chinese music is bad, which it isn't? Or is it because I think it's bad because I've been so inundated with English media? I've been consumed by the Anglosphere so much that the fact that I started to reject my own identity as a Chinese person.
That is so very true. Yeah, I face the same dilemma myself as well. Yeah, for myself, I am like trilingual in a sense. I don't know if you consider dialect a language, because some people might argue against having a dialect is not considered language, but I'm very sure, right?
Yeah, Chinese dialect is a separate language.
Yeah. So then like I can speak 4 languages already. Maybe 5 plus C++ and HTML. Okay, considered.
Those are technically languages too.
Yeah, sure.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like you have to ask yourself, you know, are you willing to like decolonize yourself and like ask and like be proud of your own culture?
Yeah.
It's one thing to go around shoving your culture
In
down
people's face.
in people's face. It's another thing to be like, hey, I'm really proud to be Chinese. You know, like I don't really talk a lot about this, but I grew up in the States. And then like coming back here and like living overseas, living here, you know, I'm actually very proud to be Chinese. I'm very proud to be Singaporean. But I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm Chinese. You gotta like, this is my Chineseness in your face. I'm not gonna do that.
Kowtow better represent.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like Asian superiority kind of nonsense, you know. But at the same time, it's like I can be happy with the fact that I'm Chinese. I can be proud to be Chinese and feel proud when Chinese people do great things.
I guess eventually when like culturalism, right, is being accepted like everywhere, would it appear something like Bad Bunny like that, where we can like speak about our Puerto Rican song and then but you know still say in a way that it can be understood globally?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the way K-pop has done it,
Yeah.
you know, K-pop has done an extremely good. Really, K-pop is extremely good at propagating itself, and at the same time being able to tell their own stories in their own language.
Yes.
That people are like, hey, I'm interested to like check out what the spectacle is. Yeah, and honestly, the internet has been great at helping that, doing that, and helping propagate that.
Okay, so because he has been talking about like looking at the Manyao point of view or the Siamtiu point of view, Siamtiu which is like Thai disco, but then why did it even have that name in the first place?
That's a very Singaporean way of calling it.
Yeah.
Because Thai disco is a Singapore term. We call any dance club a disco in Singapore. If you guys don't know, if you guys are not from Singapore.
Yeah.
And then the reason why they call it Thai disco is because the girls there are Thai. And the hostesses there are Thai. Then they call it Thai disco. And then the bands usually are Thai. And then at the time they were playing a mixture of, when it started, it was a mixture of Euro, Thai breakbeat, which is also known as Sailor, and Manyao. Eventually there was also Manyao, which
But
is
Manyao is Chinese though.
techno.
Yeah, now it's Vina House inside. Yeah.
Now it's Vina
Now
House.
it's Vina House.
Oh.
Yeah. Now the trend has changed to
From
become
Thai music
Vina
to
House.
Chinese music to Vietnamese
Yeah,
music.
and the girls, the hostesses, a lot of them are from Vietnam now, but we're still calling them Thai
How do you
disco.
know that? I don't know that.
I did some
freaking idea,
research.
man.
So yes, there has been changes in the music and the trends, and you know the reason why they changed the music is because of also the hostesses. Like if the hostesses are more Chinese, you hear more Chinese music. If the hostesses are more Thai, you hear more Thai music. If the hostesses are Vietnamese, you hear more Vietnamese music. I think one of the clubs that were in Orchard Towers last time, top 5 is like all Russian girls, and you can hear Russian bass, and like you will hear like Russian house, Russian bass, and like they kind of stuff because the girls vibe to it.
So from the producing point of view, for this kinds of music, right? Do you see like a community surrounding it? People in Singapore specifically producing this sound?
Okay, what I do see, at least I cannot speak for other languages, but I can speak for Mandarin. In Chinese is that I see a lot of artists, a lot of producers creating Chinese hard dance.
Yes.
The people who have kind of championed their way forward, championed that way forward, has been Inquisitive and Wukong.
Yes.
And now you see many other people like Infamous, 808 Gong, Ezra Hazard, all doing almost similar in that vein, and I think it's great. It is, I guess, their way of pushing it forward. But if you also like, if you guys like kind of look into China itself is also developing their own version of Chinese dance pop.
Yes.
I think there are labels in China right now that are kind of like producing dance EDM, big room house with Chinese lead line.
Speaking about Chinese, I realized that our Asian compatriots, like Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans, right? We really like more hard-hitting kind of sound. If you realize, generally, you know, when we are at the club,
We
and
like
when
go fast,
drinking,
right?
Yeah, and then we lack the appreciation for more minimal stuff like deep house. You know, deep house is just like, you know, most everybody will be like,
Is it because of the work culture as well? You know,
yeah, maybe like everybody damn stressed here.
people are stressed and everything. They just wanna get it over and done with. Like, let's drink, then after that, let's go home.
We
That's it.
wanna let loose, and for us, letting loose is going harder, and that is just our culture. And there's nothing wrong with being down for like hip hop or minimal and like being like.
I believe
that kind
Snoop
of
Dogg
stuff.
said this, right? When you smoke weed or something, you just want it chill, but when you drink alcohol, you just want it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's also the kind of things that we are allowed to consume in our country also. You know?
Yeah. Maybe
it possibly
maybe the things that we consume actually affects our music taste.
Yeah, neurochemistry.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow your very PC way of saying it. Yes, the things that you consume when you party affects the taste of your music. It's why in certain countries where a certain herb is more popular, hip hop tends to take prevalence.
Yes.
Slower music tends to take prevalence.
Yes.
In certain countries where certain stimulants are more popular, you will see that fast, high BPM tracks with hard-hitting synths and beats are more popular.
I wonder if there's a country that just takes parsley and everything. They roll parsley and everything.
Singapore?
There's the parsley eating competition.
No, it's Korean.
Coriander? Yeah.
I thought it's AI generated or something.
Yeah, but it is like I guess the taste of your music is basically the taste of your music is affected by the kind of things you consume when you party.
Yeah, like Jamie Oliver is chili jam.
Chili.
When they parties, it takes chili jam.
That's why for me, right, when I party, right, I only take fried rice with sambal.
So what's your kind of dance? Goreng.
Goreng.
Yeah, there's a walk-K dance as well, bro.
Yay!
Shout out to Uncle Roger, man.
There should be a song. We should make a song called Walk Hey.
Maybe Goreng featuring Uncle Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That would be a really, really good collab.
Yeah, we need to interview Uncle Roger here and how he actually does his dance moves and everything, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we also take a look at like Asian artists that made it in the States, like something like Knock 2, like Zoo, you know, all this. Would you say that they have already been integrated?
This is a very touchy subject.
Yeah.
So Knock 2, Zoo, Josh Pan
Yes.
are Asian American.
Yes. They are Americans first.
They're Americans first before they're Asians.
Yes.
Not to disregard their Asian identity or
Yes.
to dilute their Asianness
Yes.
or gatekeep our Asianness.
Yes.
But you have to understand that by being in the proximity of that industry,
Yes.
that plays a huge part to their success over our proximity to their industry.
Yes. Very true.
And
Very
so the question we should be asking ourselves right now is, it's not whether or not, oh, is it because they're there, therefore they do better. But instead, you should be asking themselves, how come we cannot create our own industry to do better?
But that's not even a question. I never say that why are they doing better. I'm saying that when they produce music, right, do we have to take a look at like their Asianness, like do they have to like inculcate some like Asian things inside, or they're American, right? They don't even have the need to do that.
No one's obliged to inculcate their
Yeah.
culture into the music. I think
Like
Zhu
to stand out.
said it best. The reason why he never showed his face until a lot later in his career was because he was afraid that people would judge him for being Asian.
Yes, and especially his music is very European
Yeah.
market.
But Zhu is such an excellent producer that's producing amazing house music. And he's
Yes.
so good with the atmospheric stuff.
Yeah.
And you will never think that he is Asian unless you know that Zhu is a Chinese word
Yeah.
and that you've seen his face.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Zhu stands for bamboo, right?
Yeah.
Zhu. Yeah.
Oh, I thought pig.
Not Zhu lah. The different
But
intonation.
it could also be Pearl.
Zhu. Yeah, maybe. Wow, shit. Oh my god.
Chinese is the only language, right, where if you miswrite a word, right, your mother becomes a horse.
Your mother become a horse. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, but
Very
no,
true.
but I do get what you're saying, but again,
Yeah.
those Asian American artists are not obliged at all to bring their Asian heritage into their music.
Because they're American, really.
I guess even ourselves as Asians in Asia, we're not also obliged to do so. But why can't we? Like, why shouldn't we? We should.
But if is it more difficult to be accepted worldwide?
Absolutely.
Yeah, lor. So it's like, why don't you bench 10 kg? Why instead of benching 10 kg, why don't you bench 100?
And
Why not?
I think
No,
until
that's not a really good analog. I think a good analog would be, why do you use fork to eat rice when you can use spoon? See, Asians from Asia, right, naturally use spoons to eat their rice straight away, right?
Yes.
But if you look at like in American Chinese restaurants, right, they'll give you a fork and knife, and then they'll use fork to eat rice. So is it more acceptable to use spoon to eat rice, or more acceptable to use fork to eat rice?
I guess which one feels more right to you, I guess.
Correct. So if you're trying to go into their market and play their game, then you gotta play by their rules.
Yeah.
unless Asian music actually becomes cool enough for their market to actually
K-pop.
yeah, like K-pop or something like that.
Okay, but K-pop itself is a very curious animal. Look at how many, like, if you look at a normal K-pop song, there are at least 3 to 4 genres inside. Almost instantly, there is a formula to it where it starts with dance pop, and then it goes into a ballad beat, and then it goes into a drop, and then after it goes into a hip hop breakdown, and then after it goes back into a ballad, into the verse.
Yes. Every of the K-pop band, they have a rapper.
So it has they have a little bit of something for everyone, you know. And because they have that kind of like variety in each individual track, therefore, you know, it does appeal to the mass market. It is kind of like taking a Gatling gun and going, you know.
I think we should do that for Mania also. Have the breakdown also of that.
We have those tracks in Chinese pop as well, but the reason why you don't really see a lot of it is because, well, K-pop has its day in the sun because the Korean government put in billions of dollars to market K-pop globally. I'm not saying the Chinese government has not done the same for Chinese music, but there has not been enough.
We wouldn't know because their
propagation.
internet is different from us.
I mean, Jay Chou, Wang Yimong
But it's not
have
China.
done
right?
world tours.
But it's not China. Right?
Most of their markets are in China.
Jecho is
Jay Chou may be
Taiwan.
Taiwanese,
Yeah.
but most of his streams and most of his income, most of the
Yeah.
sales all come from China.
yeah, which is very evident because you look at his Spotify, it's not supposed to be that low. Yeah, the actual views is like should be like 100 times more.
Exactly. So when you look at something like that, like I guess another major thing about like why this is now purely my own opinion.
Yes.
I have no statistics behind this to like support this statement, and this is purely what I see, what I observe,
Yes.
and 100% my own consumption
Yes.
is that the people at the top of the Chinese industry, right? They don't really like care about the rest of the world.
What industry?
Of the Chinese music industry.
Or Chinese music industry? Oh.
Because
so many Chinese people already.
so many Chinese people already, I didn't make enough money already.
Hello.
I wish a hit song, right, I will have more streams, right, because of Chinese music industry than the Western song.
Yeah.
In the Western hit.
Yeah.
The Western people number one might not even have as many streams as my Chinese people number one.
Yeah lah.
Because I just have that many more people.
Yes, correct.
And that I have many more people that speak that language.
Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore they don't see the point in going toe to toe with the Western market. If you think about it, right,
different from K-pop because Korea is like smaller. They need to propagate.
And if you think about it from that perspective, right,
Yep.
the only people, right, who truly like will like kind of like think about it in this way, right, are people like us who are like in the middle of both worlds.
I guess it's up to us to make the difference, I guess.
Yeah. So ultimately, if we want to create that stage for our music to kind of like stand toe to toe with our Western counterparts, like we have to build our own infrastructure. We have to kind of like lay like I guess the groundwork has been already done. You know, there are a lot of amazing things already happening in Asia. Like All That Matters is an amazing conference that brings in everyone across Asia.
Yeah.
Then there is also IMS that has been amazing also that they did it in Shanghai and in Singapore. Excellent festivals across. AD is in Europe.
Amsterdam does an event also.
Yeah, but I'm talking mainly Asia.
Mainly Asia.
So if you're talking about Asia, then other brands that we can talk about is also like S2O, who has traveled around
Storm.
a bit. Storm. And also I think most recently is
Creamfields.
Creamfields is Western.
But
Creamfields
it's
started
like
in the
I think
US.
they put like Creamfields Thailand, Creamfields Australia
Yeah.
subsidiaries, I guess.
I would actually go for Don't Let Daddy Know. Because those are
China,
like
right?
I'm talking about like mainly like Asian run.
Look out.
It's Zookout, yeah. Asian brands.
Legacy.
Legacy, yeah. Shout out to Andrew T, man. Legacy is great. Yeah, see, we are already kind of, the groundwork is starting to be laid. We are building these connections to kind of connect with each other to kind of better our industry. So it's just a matter of time. Eventually, we will get there. And it's just whether or not are we willing to kind of like put in the effort to see the sustainability of the industry.
Actually, I think that it's actually something more beneficial to us that we're in the middle of this rather than something bad, because we can actually tap into both markets, in the Western side and the China side. Actually, we're in a very good position to do those things.
Absolutely. And it really starts domestically. A lot of the way growth works in this day and age, especially with social media and the internet, is that if you have a strong regional pool, a strong domestic pool, you will end up going wider and wider and wider. So being in the epicenter of everything will allow you to kind of like grow, and then eventually you hit everyone.
I got an idea. You know, everybody is talking about how dope or credible certain sounds are, and of course, Man Yao is labeled as not the credible kind of sound, right? I think you can just take a Man Yao song, 150 BPM, slow it to 125, and then people be like, "Yo, credible shit, man." Yeah, that's probably what would end up happening, man.
I had this thought experiment with one of the producers that I met earlier today, and then we were talking about it. If you look at the elements behind Minimal Tech and the elements behind Vina House, they're almost, if you look at Vina House project file and you look at Minimal Tech project file, the amount of channels, the amount of elements are almost the same.
Yeah.
But why is it that one gets more credibility than the other? Why is it that between Minimal Tech and Vina House, one is respected and one is seen as trash? So the question comes into, if we have a producer who knows how to do both, and he does Vina House and Minimal Tech, can you truly say one genre is better than the other?
But then the thing is, I guess there will be two sides of the fans, right? Where there are two sides of the fans. There are fans that, you know, will give different perspective. And, you know, at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves the question, right? Who is the one deciding what is credible or not? You know? Yeah, so I guess it really is a very good time to think about, you know, producing Asian-inspired music or Man Yao or whatever, right? Is it truly a bad thing? Yeah, or because
do you think it's a bad thing?
I think it's very stigmatized right now. That is a bad thing.
So okay, yes, we know it is stigmatized now, but do you feel that if producers were to create more, if let's say there was a legit manya label, and there were legit ways to legitimize the genre in the mainstream, would it be a bad thing?
It's actually a good thing because when you say the word legit, which is
Legitimate.
very, very lacking, right, in the Chinese music market, especially with all that copying. You know, back when in our previous podcast when we were talking to Steve, right, he was mentioning about trips. It is like a entity that you can approach to take down copyrights and stuff. So you know, a lot of that kind of copying really stems from the Chinese industry. And if we can proceed to do transformative work, then that would become cool, you know. That would become something that people strive to be. You know, I didn't learn music for 10 years just to copy some other guy's track perfectly. I want to create my own stuff, you know. I want to create something that tells my story. And then that would make it legitimized, you know. And I think the fact is the mass majority of people that play manyao don't produce manyao.
Yeah, to be honest, right, like even for me when I like create dig, right, I find it very difficult to find manya remixes. I don't know where to look. There's no like one source of like where it's easily found. I know there are websites. I know there are places where you can buy the manyao. I know you can find it on certain Baidu or whatever. But like, there's no like DJ pool that truly like pulls it together. There's no like organization that really like gives it a structure.
Which is like what you say, they are so big already, they don't need to create this kind of thing. Like, you know, DJ City is actually created so that they can link, you know.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that a lot of these manya producers are not making money from their productions.
Okay, because there's no Spotify, right, for that kind of music, is that right?
It's not just that, but rather so that there is no like way, at least to my knowledge, except for like when people want to download then they pay maybe like 100 RMB for the track, then they go and play. But you pay the 100 RMB, right, you go upload it on like Baidu, right, then you can share all your friends. Right? Then that person only will make that little bit of money. You know, there's like what, $4 or $5.
They don't make from streaming? Or do they don't have streaming platforms?
Like because basically a lot of all these manya remixes are unofficial bootlegs. They're not official. So you cannot technically earn money from the streams.
Oh dear.
So that's why like that, like, you know, at least if we if the manyao industry or the manyao scene wants to legitimize itself, it needs to create a way where it can legitly create the music that they are making. And one thing I can tell you is that when we listen to it, manya has a limited pool, which is how we know that there is no like real like growth in its infrastructure. Because we're still listening to the same like 5 or 6 songs. We're still listening to 毕竟相爱过. We're still listening to 说散就散. We're still listening to 我们不一样. We're still listening to 8578. You know, it's still the same maybe 8 to 10 tracks every night.
Gabe, TV, remote, just press one button. Yeah, okay, yep.
It's still the same 8 to 10 tracks every night. So then, that means that there are no newer remixes. And I guess moving from that, right, the next thing is you can hear is all the bootlegs that Inquisitive is coming out with. Then Inquisitive almost every other week got a new Mendo track bootleg.
Inquisitive owns Manyao now.
I leave that for you to
That's
talk.
a conversation.
That's a conversation for you and Leon to deal with. But
Hmm.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like if let's say we really want to kind of see this growth,
yes,
where one day we can be like DJ Love in the Philippines playing budots on Boiler Room. Budots, by the way, guys, is the Filipino version of Manyao and Sailor and Vina. It's their basically Filipino house lah.
Let's break it down what man yao is in the first place. Man means slow, yao means shake, right?
Yeah.
So how did it become fast, banging, shuffling music? It's just a nickname.
They actually did the opposite of slow shake. It's fast vibrate. In the dance floor.
No, it's actually because Manyao is traditionally played at 1:30. The original Manyao tracks are all at 1:30.
Okay.
Only in Singapore and Malaysia do we play it at 1:80. or
180?
160.
What the hell?
160 to 180 depending on where you go. And there's also, if you guys don't know, there's also a very even more obscure Chinese genre called Kwai Yao.
What the fuck? What's that? Like
It's
some
paid at
Lil
200.
Texas?
No, it's at 200.
Lil Texas shit.
It's like
Lil Tex.
I've heard it in Malaysia before, and
Yes.
it was like I cannot.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about your involvement in Speed House. I think you're a huge
Speed
supporter
House.
of
Oh
Speed
my
House
God,
and
I
the
am a
Speed
big
House
fan of
movement.
Speed House.
He's the Speed
House of
House.
House of
Panda,
Panda,
please
let's go, baby.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Speed World. Okay, I love Speed House because I like things that go fast, but hardstyle is too hard for me.
So it's like you really embracing the West and the East together. They love house music in the West, we love fast in the East, and then Speed House.
And Speed House is also like, okay, one of the things I like about Speed House is because it gives me a lot of room to play with sound, where I'm not going for blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you
It's
can
just like,
really layer
all
in.
that kind of like hardstyle kicks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my imitation of hardstyle kicks are terrible.
We need to sample this shit.
Absolutely. Imagine like later they got some then it's like me, like, you know, the face of me, my face going. Then that's like the new hardstyle kick. Please don't do that. I beg you. Anyways, so it gives me, like, especially with the advent of a Chinese Oriental rave. I'm going to use the term that Wukong uses for his genre, Oriental rave. With the way Oriental rave is growing in Asia, and how a lot of DJs in Asia, a lot of those stadium clubs, mega clubs in Asia are playing Oriental rave. You can see how you can merge and marry Asian sounds, or at least Oriental sounds, because I am Oriental, into the genre like Speed House. It's just a matter of time that we will do it, and it's just eventually we will get there.
You're just the advanced version, bro. You're already there.
I'm not there yet. I'm really not there. I haven't actually done an Oriental sounding song. And you know, coming here talking to you all, you really made me think like, shit, maybe I should go and pick up some like old school Oriental sample. Like,
古筝 shit.
no, even, you know, actually, you know what? If I'm not wrong, right? One Night in Beijing is about to enter public domain.
Can you
One
remake?
night in Beijing.
One Night in Beijing.
I know, but what do you mean by entering public domain?
It's old enough.
Oh, that means it is. There's no more like sole ownership, sole propriety, is that right?
Yeah.
But I know like the rules for like DistroKid or whatever distributors is usually 70 years. Does that hold the same semblance for like Chinese music as well?
I actually don't know, but I mean, for me, the way I would approach it is I'll do it as a bootlegger. And then like if people play, right?
Yeah. And I think Speed House is very minimal, so you can add more stuff on top, be more creative as well.
Speed House is all about like getting, like for me, when I play, it's about getting there. It's like, how do you like get there? It goes.
What do you mean by getting there?
So
Getting there or getting off?
both. Okay, but like for me, the way I look at it is like, Speed House is really like, the way I look. It's like a journey. Speed House is a journey. You know, and it's a journey that when I play Speed House, I mean, all forms of sets and DJ sets are journeys.
Yes.
But for me, specifically, in my opinion, when I play Speed House, it's like driving a car at like 130 down the highway, and then you just like.
It's a faster journey.
You need to tell us the story about your thing, your Speed House set in Philippines.
Oh my god, my first Speed House set in Philippines.
You were already there.
Shout out to Jared from Midnight Rebels for throwing Bass in Bacon. So I was blackout drunk on tequila because people were pouring tequila down my throat all the whole night, and then like he had to like shake me like,
Filipino hospitality, man.
Edward, wake up!
There you have it.
Wake up! Your turn here. Oh, okay, and I was like, I walked to the DJ set, and you know what's the best part? It was exactly XDJR.
Yeah.
Okay. Then one. Straight away. You can ask me, and the moment the set end, right?
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
For that 1 hour, like, it was just pure like energy, and the reason why it could keep me up was because like I enjoyed the entire genre. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed going through the hoops. I enjoyed listening to the thing. I enjoyed like just jiving and cruising, you know.
And then last thing, right, we spoke about the journey in our previous podcast with Mass, right, where you cannot really showcase much of the journey in social media because journey is really a very subjective life kind of stuff where you are like programming your set in a way that it takes people from mood to mood to mood, you know, and you cannot really have enough time in the short attention span of social media nowadays to do this kind of thing. So it start to give rise to variety content. So now DJs are doing less and less of musical content and more troll content, basically. Like look at Louis Capaldi, you know, that kind of thing.
A lot of gimmicks, bro.
Yeah. So and then you know people start wondering like, is that gonna affect your credibility some way? You know, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. And also like, how does a record label look at artists that do such things? You know,
Record labels will always, at least to my knowledge, be open and happy the fact that artists are doing such things.
yes.
I think another term that we need to learn today is parasocial relationships.
God damn.
We're learning a lot, guys.
Say that 10 times quick.
Parasocial relationships, 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 parasocial. Blah!
What's your favorite Korean movie?
No, really, my favorite Korean movie is Parasite. I really love the way that storytelling. But going back to parasocial relationships, parasocial relationships, it's a form of relationship where the audience feels very connected to the artist or celebrity, feeling like they're your friend. Whereas, however, the artist and celebrity is not your friend and they don't actually know you.
It's very similar to Colin and Samir, that they mentioned that there's two types of creators. One is relationship creator, one is idea-based creator. So a relationship creator is something like Casey Neistat, like Emma Chamberlain, where they literally like, hey, watch me drink coffee. Then you just sit down there, you just sit down there for 2 hours and people will watch. You know, that's relationship-based creator.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Beast is more idea-based. Like he do a crazy thing, right? That you're like, whoa, I need to watch that. You know, yeah.
So going back to parasocial relationships, again we're gonna go back to K-pop. One of the few like music industries that have done it very well is the K-pop.
Yes.
Stan.
Yes.
So like we use this word Stan. Stan comes from the 1999 track Stan from Eminem about Crazy Fan. So we are talking about the Crazy Fan. If you look at K-pop culture and how K-pop stans are, K-pop stans know everything about the idol.
Yes.
But how do they know everything about the idol? Do you think all the idol does is release music? No, the idol talks to them,
Feed
tells them,
information.
feeds them information, tells them about this is what I like, this is what I do, this is the thing, this is my habit, this is the thing. And what is wrong with artists doing that? It does not take away your credibility as a musician when you show your humanity on social media to your audience.
Would you say that it will be a disadvantage for introverts?
Absolutely.
No.
But
So
introverts
sad. Yeah.
have also their own way of representing themselves. See, just because
Silently.
just just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you cannot go on social media.
Oh yeah lah.
Being an introvert doesn't mean okay. So like how I go about it is like as an extrovert, it's always easy to like kind of like turn on and be on camera and be like, oh no, like I'm an extrovert, so it's easy for me to turn on, become a personality.
Yes.
I'm talking to you directly like I'm your best friend. But when you're an introvert, it's all about like the intimacy. How do you share certain things? But ultimately, you must remember that just like when you first make your first few songs, you're going to share it with your best friend and your family. Your fans eventually become that inner circle. You know, you are also trying to share with them. You don't want to share much about your life, but you can share your process. You can share your journey. You can share what makes you excited about what's coming up. You can share also like today I drank a Red Bull. You know, I think.
Yeah, that's a very bingo book of social media tips, man. Yeah.
Ultimately, what
Important.
it is
Not oversharing as well.
if you are on social media as an artist and you are creating your personality, try to become the person that you want to follow. You know, it's like kind of like, you know, like our parents always tell us like, hey, when you are you the man that you want your daughter to date? You know, like my parents asked me that. Are you being the man that you want your own daughter to marry?
Yeah.
Now be the artist that you want to follow.
You should be a fan of yourself first.
Yeah. And also learn how to be that personable thing. So you can, so like, when you share all these kind of things, you will technically build a parasocial relationship. But eventually, what really connects you with the audience is the sincerity.
Yes.
People know when you are faking it, which is why only children like Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Yes.
With the exception of the adults who watch Impulsive. So
And then, yeah, I mean, I used to think that I'm like a Dylan Francis funny character. But then the thing is, like, I've come to terms to realize that I'm not really a funny person. I'm a very, very serious kind of person, So, and then I truly embrace that, right? And then, it becomes easier for me because I don't necessarily attract too much unwanted attention. Because when you're very friendly, more people can talk to you, right? But I'm just being myself now, and I'm more comfortable with the amount of people that come in to talk to me, and also more comfortable with myself. And then I can create a more consistent branding. And then when people view that you are consistent and authentic, right, then they will slowly gravitate towards you. You will not have people that don't like you come into your circle.
absolutely.
Yeah. You rather have 10 solid people, right, rather than 100 people that don't really know you. The impact is more.
It's like the Spartans. You have 300 Spartans, then have like 1,000,000 soldiers who will not fight as hard. That's the whole thing. You want the right people. So moving on to that, like the step 2 after you created your identity to build the relationship with your audience is about building your community. And how do you engage with your community to make them feel like they are part of your journey and your process? There are a lot of ways, and there are so many examples of artists doing that. Especially like when artists like Doja Cat. I think Doja Cat is an excellent example of that. When she hops on her streams, when she's just doing her makeup, and she talks to the artist, and then she'll just hum sometimes to the audience, and then she'll be like, "Ah," and then that's exactly how she got her song "Moo, I'm a Cow," which was her breakout song. But okay, so talking about 360 deals, right? Doja Cat was in a really bad 360 deal with Dr. Luke.
Oh, seriously? Dr. Luke will do people like that? Damn, I didn't know that.
There is a whole documentary online
Dr.
for
Luke
this.
is a fucking genius, by the way.
He's an excellent man.
Producing
but it
genius.
is not Dr. Luke's fault. It's just that it's just how the contracts are done, right? And they just didn't have the kind of funds to like justify pushing her stuff out at that time. And then she was like thinking, okay, what can I do, right? So then she was on Instagram Live talking to her fans, and she was like moo 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 moo, and she's like, oh, I got an idea. She produced the track, she shot her own music video, and she told Dr. Luke, hey, I'm just gonna put it online. And then there's no cost to the label, right? The label's like, sure, go ahead. Blew up. Next thing you know, Doja Cat's everywhere. And how did she get there? How did she get herself out of that difficult position? Through sincere, authentic engagement with her community.
Correct. Everything is like less packaged up nowadays, right? Compared to the traditional record label days. Now everything is more about like unfiltered, uncut. Kevin's IG story.
We want, the audiences want to have that, to feel like they're your friend,
And they are there with you.
Okay,
It needs to feel authentic.
Okay, if we look at it, like last time, right, when we started Instagram, all that kind of stuff, we always look for like, oh, we want the perfect shot, we want to shoot with the filter, kind of stuff, right? And then especially when we talk about doing video, we want to like make sure everything is like professional and stuff like that. With the exception of like long form content, because long form content requires the quality, for you to continue listening and watching. But now when we go into short form content, what do we want? We care more about content over quality of content.
Spontaneity.
Yeah, we care more about like what is the core of the essence of the short form video versus how well produced it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a quickie.
Yes. Yes, I guess you're not wrong.
Everybody are suckers for quickie in this time and age.
Yeah, and like it's all about getting the attention span of your audience within the first 0.1 second.
Yes. At first it used to be 3 seconds last year. Now it's 1 second.
It used to be 5 seconds. It used to be one. I remember when YouTube came out in 2005. It used to be 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then by 2010, it was the first 30 seconds. By 2015, it was the first 5 seconds.
The 5 second skip ad.
Yes. And then after that, in 2018, it became 3 seconds. Now in 2023, now 1 second.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. The amount, the kind of attention span we go.
Yeah. But do you see that it will be, after this trend die down, then will you go back to longer form, which is what gave rise to the rise of podcasting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, because so our humans, the way humans consume media, right? Humans will never ever stop consuming long form content.
Yes.
We will always have people that we want to consume long form content, especially when it's engaging.
Yes.
And when it's educational. We want to engage and learn ourselves something new.
We're inherently curious,
Yeah. So that's fine.
Yes.
But then you cannot. But because we have that, you cannot deny the fact that short form content is growing, lah. But it's always a mixture. Like I ask you a question: how much long form content versus short form content do you consume a day?
Like maybe 100 to 1.
100 short form, 1 long form, right?
Yeah.
Because also the amount of time you spend on screen is also as
Correct.
such.
Even your long form content, right? You skip.
Now with the introduction of chapters, so you can skip. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess in a sense, it's not the fight again doesn't really go back to long form, short form, but more of like curated content versus chosen content. Like back then when we used to watch TV, everything is curated, right? The television is curated for you. But then with the advent of like TiVo or like Netflix and streaming, we choose what we want to watch when we want to watch it.
Cable vision, that was the first version of chosen content. Yeah, you have the power of selecting comes to you, not by your network.
But when we talk about something like that, ultimately we also know that curation will still be important, because we don't know what we don't know. And we will ultimately also on some days we want people to create content for us.
Yeah, which is your opinion leader, top opinion leaders.
KOLs,
Yeah.
your algorithms on YouTube. You know, interesting topic recently I heard on YouTube is the US court is now trying to decide whether or not is algorithm driven content responsible for the radicalization of youth in certain communities.
Yeah, affect your thought patterns.
And because they search out right? Because technically the algorithm is not at fault. The algorithm will only feed you what you feed it, right?
Yes.
So now there's this whole like discussion right now in the US about whether or not should AI based algorithms be turned illegal or be seen as or be controlled. Because of if you choose to radicalize yourself, you will look for that content, and then eventually that more of that content will keep showing up.
I mean, it will be good for curators like us then. So if they start to limit AI, what AI can do, then it starts to be more on the owners of the creators. Then we can showcase more of our skills, our curation, and then we'll start to have following.
But the dangerous thing about that, right, is that if you see the target of the lawsuit, of the crux of the whole thing, not lawsuit, it's not a lawsuit yet. The crux of the whole discussion, right, is on AI algorithm. So it also means you as a curator, right, you no longer, if let's say they do ban this algorithm, you no longer be able to find with such ease the content that is better suited for you to curate. Because the algorithm itself is gonna be gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's something that's
deep, right? Heavy stuff, right? Yeah. Yeah. Something to think about.
Yeah. So, of course, with the invention of ChatGPT to GPT-4 now on to GPT-5 soon already, you start to be able to see it being integrated into the content pieces itself, like how it was integrated in the search engine. Yeah. So, very, very big world out there and a lot for us to explore.
There's a lot of opportunities. It doesn't mean it's bad, it's just there's a lot of opportunities. How to use it to your advantage, actually.
AI, good or bad, for whatever it's worth, for however anyone thinks, it's here. And it's here to stay. There's no way we're gonna give it up.
Yeah.
Unless Skynet goes live and kills all of us. All hail our future robot overlords.
Yes.
Wait, if was it a time travel exists, I'll be coming out there in 1 second. Nope, it's not. Okay. Continue.
So like for all things, right? Like AI is here to stay, and the way AI affects our world is forever going to be this way. How AI eventually will AI has already permanently changed the way we look at things. But how AI will continue to evolve in front of us, we cannot know. Because a lot of the things that people used to were predicting, oh, AI will only be able to do this in 2 or 3 years, AI has done in 2 months.
I was telling you, right?
We were having
exponential growth.
we were having a discussion about it because of music production or using AI. And I was telling him like maybe it's because as people that do we understand code and everything as well. I was telling him that how hard it is to code all these thousands of lines and everything, right? But after a few months, right? There's this AI that came out of paintings and all that stuff of people and all that stuff. Like, oh,
Yep.
I think next time it's gonna be music already.
A good way, I guess a good way to look at how fast AI learns is how long does it take for you to read our 100-page book?
Very long lah compared to AI.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to read?
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm being tested.
Have you the last time
I
you
don't-
wrote 100 pages is about
When
an
was
hour,
the last
right?
time I read?
Yeah,
About an hour, right? Give or take. As adults, we should
yeah.
take about
100 word.
100 pages.
100 pages. So around there, yeah.
I mean,
Maybe more.
If you want to dive
Maybe hour,
deeper,
hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
2 hours max,
100
right?
word per
Depends on how many words come. Like how the information comes in my head, right, and registers there.
Okay, just for the example, for the sake
Or
of
else I need to read it again.
Yeah.
for us, right, when we read a book, you take a 100-page book, you take anything between an hour to 2 hours for us to read a book.
Yeah.
Right? In the same 2-hour window that we read the 100-page book, the AI has already read it probably billions of times. Or hundreds of billions of times. So we cannot in our mind go and predict using our sensibility how fast AI will evolve.
Yeah.
You know?
Must
Which
be
is the memorization portion of school doesn't work anymore.
yeah.
Correct.
That's right. That's the thing that I was telling you just now, right? About schools that's memorizing stuff versus countries that's doing this kind of things like making their kids memorize stuff, and after that, right now the intellectual properties they actually copy from somewhere else because their kids or whatever is not thinking critically or thinking creatively anymore because it's all about memorization. So yeah, I'm not naming countries or whatever, but it happens. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just conclude this podcast with a little bit of what's going to happen for EKO and Edward in year 2024.
Well, I'm gonna continue my day job, that's for sure. I'm not gonna talk about what it is. But then EKO, at least for myself, I'm going to continue working on building Agent.wave with KRAVE here. And then with our partners overseas to kind of like create a better and stronger touring circuit.
Yes.
As well as also we'll try to kind of like start a discussion about how more Asian-led movements to build a stronger Asian infrastructure for music, not just for dance music, but just music in general.
Yep.
Where we can support and collaborate with each other will be better. That's my goal and what I'm working towards in 2023 and 2024.
Thank you so much.
Bye.